In 2025, a record amount of whales, primarily humpbacks, estimated to be between 50 and 60,000, migrated up the east coast. Up to warmer breeding waters around Hervey Bay in the winter and back down to Antarctica in the spring. A 10,000-kilometre round trip migrating to the warm, shallow waters of Queensland that provide the ideal birthing conditions for the breeding whales. Known as the Humpback Highway, the journey follows the continental shelf, coming in close to shore at hotspots like Sydney, Byron Bay, the Gold Coast and Hervey Bay. A delightful spectacle as crowds gather on headlands to see these majestic mammals breach and play along their epic journey. But the Humpback Highway is also the office of one of the biggest industries in Australia, professional fishing. Worth an estimated $1.2 billion and employing thousands of Australians. As the whale population increases, so too do interactions between fishers and whales.
My name's Danny Stewart, commercial fisherman out of Coss Harbour. I fish trap and I also lobster trap. Been doing that for 35 years. Typical day, well, you've got to get yourself up, get yourself motivated, cup of coffee, drive in here, jump on the boat, make sure everything's right. You know, I've got a lot of computer systems there now with my electronics and stuff, so you've got to make sure everything's working, make sure you've got enough bait for the day, ice, and then you basically, head off, throw the ropes and go to sea.
I'm the least fussy fisherman around. Just hopefully some snapper, leather jackets. To be honest, it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. At the moment, I still enjoy it. I'm second generation, so I followed my father. Now I've got my sons working with me, trying to work out how to keep the business going, how to protect the industry. We've had our crack at it. I just want to make sure it's there for the next generation. This time of the year we're catching a lot of leather jackets, so it's a pretty heavy sort of labour intensive time of the year where there's a lot more handling involved. Well, you're always looking over your shoulder for the whales. Basically you're just trying to hopefully keep your fingers crossed and do everything that we've been trying to do to mitigate the risk, and hopefully we get through the period and there's no damage to the whales and no damage to our gear. It's a hard process because there's so many whales out there now and they've been coming back more and more each year. They're not afraid of us anymore. They used to stay away from us, but now they're so used to having contact with the whale watching boats. Because we set the traps and then you run the rope out in a big horseshoe shape, and then you're running the rope out and next thing you look behind the boat and here's a whale coming up. Where did he come from,
So OceanWatch is running the East Coast Whale Entanglement Mitigation Program. We've been running it now for around 5 years. It's really about fishers getting involved in mitigating impacts on humpback whales on the east coast of Australia. This is a massive conservation success story. Seeing this incredible increase of number of whales in the water is something the fishermen are watchful of, they're really excited about, but it also brings complications to their business and how they operate on water. And so this project is really looking at how can we make sure that there's safe passage for the whales, but also safe passage for the fishermen. That's really crucial. So getting fishermen involved in this project is really about finding ways to coexist. So that's why trialling gear, trialling new technologies that may work is really vital, because every fishing vessel operation is really quite unique. There is no one size fits all here. And so the work that we're doing is really quite an investigation into what gear is available, what gear do we need, who has it, where is it being trialled elsewhere in the world. So those international partners are actually important as well.
Whales have a huge impact. We've got whale rope on the gear so that the gear sits on the bottom of the ocean. I've had times before we started using the whale rope when I've had all my gear cut off. Nothing entangled with the whale, but it meant that I've had to spend the whole day grappling gear back, getting it on the boat, putting it back together and then going home and not earning a cent. We've also got that danger of one breaching. I've had them breach so close to the boat where they can actually land on you. You've also got the worry with the Byron Bay being just there, that you've got eyes on you all the time from the general public. And I think they sort of perceive us as the bad guys, and we're not. Fishermen don't want to entangle whales. That's the last thing we want to do.
So the Flabs was asked by OceanWatch Australia to come out to Australia and show the fishermen how our ropeless fishing system that was designed for the lobster fishery in the States and how it works, and ultimately take that system and modify it and essentially upgrade it to work for the type of fishing that's done out here in Australia.
The system essentially gets clipped onto the trap and sinks to the bottom of the ocean with no vertical rope coming up to the surface. And when you're ready to pull the gear back up, you send a signal down to it, it inflates the buoy, and it lifts the trap up to the surface.
We're trying to find a way of keeping the ropes out of the water column, and this method will keep the ropes basically on the bottom. So hopefully there's no way that whales can get tangled in the ropes, in the traps. It's more just trying to work a system out that suits your boat, suits the way we have everything set up.
Assured is a whale mitigation system that they use over in the States and in Canada. I've been trialling it since June. I've found it to be very easy to use and fairly reliable. I'm using it at the moment on a fish trap, bolted to the top of the trap. The system battery lasts a long time. It's all controlled by an iPad, and the tablet connects to a deck box. You hang the transducer over the side, press range on your tablet, and it tells you how far away the trap is. That's when you know that it's talking to the trap, and then you press release and it'll say whether the release is successful or unsuccessful. I'd count it as a success with what I've done now with the fish trap. I'd recommend giving it a go if you're having trouble with whales or if you're having trouble with shipping or anything like that. As with any system, it's more time consuming than just ropes and floats on the surface. It's something we need to look at and sort of get a feel for, trialling these things in case we do end up with a problem like they've got over in the States and Canada with whales and their lobster fishing industries.
My name is Noel Albert Gogley. I've been fishing for 54 years. My father started fishing in 1932 and taught me how to fish when I come into the fishing industry in 1971. Now I've got our eldest son, Daniel. He's been with us 30 years. And our youngest son, Phil, he's been with us for 2 years now. A galvanic time release, the ones that we're using, they call them N6s.
So the idea of this is that we sink our ropes so that the ropes aren't floating on the surface. It stops ships from cutting them off, whales from getting tangled in them. This sits about 30 or 40 metres above the ocean floor. We put 2 floats inside this bag. We make sure that we coil the rope neatly so that when it comes out of the bag, it doesn't tangle itself. So those 2 floats go in there. They create pressure on the GTRs, or galvanic time releases. These ones are set for about 15 days, and then that'll send the floats up to the surface once this GTR dissolves.
The hardest part I'm finding is because the buoy's so big, the back of the trap doesn't want to go down when you're trying to pull it up. So I use a big lifter, it might make it a bit easier. And then I keep winching the trap at the same time.
He's kind of looking at it from the perspective of he wants the lift to actually lift the fishing trap, which completely removes the rope entirely. And so he was really motivated to do that, and we did that over the last couple of days, and it was an exciting experience to be on the ground level of developing a system bespoke for this specific fisherman. After he made that modification yesterday, we were testing it, and it seemed to work really smoothly with his operations. And so we're keen to see how things go, in the future as he kind of gets used to using the system and gets faster with it.
To do these sort of trials and do this over a fairly small period of time, it's really hard to iron out all the things, but I suppose at the end of it, we just got to work out whether we've got a system there that we can do something with, and then progress it a bit further.
We've got to keep changing, because if you just put your head in the sand and say, well, it's going to go away, it's not going to go away. So for us to be able to keep lobstering for the season, when the whales are here, we've got to start doing something to make sure that we're environmental friendly, because the last thing we want to do is have a resistance from the public that we're out there so-called entanglement whales all the time. We're having a good success rate of getting gear back. With the whales changing their habit is a bit of a concern. They're outsmarting us. The galvanic time releases, they've been a lifesaver for the industry, and hopefully that we're going to be able to keep up with the smart whales.
There's really solid knowledge exchange happening, and that knowledge exchange leads to solutions basically. So having everybody around the table collaborating really positively is really crucial.
I think there's kind of a percentage of fishermen anywhere that are curious about how they could maybe do things differently, forward-looking, right? So if this isn't the answer today, right, we're looking for the answer, maybe a few years from now.
We don't want to catch these whales. We don't want our gear to be dragged up the coast. We don't want to see the floats on the traps, and we don't want all these things that are happening. But we're trying to do what we can to stop it. You develop it and refine it, and then hopefully someday, somewhere in the future, we'll have a system that is good for the fishermen, good for the industry, and good for the whales.